This is my 2001 xr400r. I've had it for like 10 years on and off. One of my buddies had it for a while. A problem with this thing since day one is that it never had enough electrical power. This thing has a dual sport kit on it, and it's always struggled to have enough juice just to really power the lights. And then I started adding things like a wireless phone charger, a GoPro charger. I had heated grips on it at one point, and it always sucked. So I tried a few things. I added a little tiny 12-volt battery. That didn't really help that much because when I'd let it sit, the battery would go flat. I added a better voltage regulator to help charge that battery, but that only works properly if you have a good battery. So it's just constantly been a struggle, so I'm finally going to upgrade the stator. So this is a stock style stator. This is actually an aftermarket one. You can tell because the wire colors are wrong. Someone put that in there a long time ago. I wouldn't have done that. But you can see how puny it looks, right? There's only windings on these. None of these have windings. And it only has a single output for lights. This is the RM Stator heavy duty stator. It's a 200 watt output. And the coolest thing about it is it gives you two dedicated outputs. So you got these two whites and these two greens, and that means you have two separate 100 watt outputs. It also comes with this little AC rectifier regulator thing that you can plug in with one of your outputs, so you don't need a battery or anything for your lights. So it works a little bit like factory. So I'm going to have one of these outputs wired up to do just the head and tail light, and the other output wired up for accessories. That way, if my battery goes bad for my accessories, my 12-volt system goes down, I will still have headlights and taillights to safely make it home. Because a few times I've had to drive home with no headlights, and that's a little sketchy. I do have turn signals and brake lights on these LEDs back here, and these LED turn signals up here. I'm going to add that to the accessory circuit because, as you know, LEDs don't like an AC pulse like the factory lights do. So those LEDs are going to run off the accessory circuit. If those go down, I can live without them because I have my primary brake light and running light on this one. Also, I did try converting the headlight to LED to lessen the load on the system to make the stock stator work better. And that did help for a little while, but as soon as the battery started to get weak, it left me stranded again because LEDs are picky about voltage. So yeah, this is actually really easy to pull off. You just unbolt it, slide it off. Unbolt these 3 bolts, put it in there. Make sure you put ultra gray behind these rubber bungs. That's easy, good to go. The harder part is gonna be wiring everything up because now I'm gonna have 2 dedicated circuits and I'm gonna have to completely rewire the entire machine. All right, there is the new heavy duty stator installed. Make sure you Loctite all the bolts with some blue Loctite and torque everything appropriately. Ultra gray on the black thing and behind it, and a thin layer of ultra gray around it, especially if you're going to reuse the gasket. Mine didn't tear, so I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to put the same gasket back on. Easy day. Yeah, this is the easy part. The wiring is going to be a bitch, but I'll try to walk you through what I do there in case you want to copy it. All right, the wiring is kind of a mess, but I'm going to try to show you what I did. So right now the engine's running, and you only have your full headlight when the engine is running. So that is this circuit right here. So it's kind of a bird nest. I got to clean everything up, but you got this green and this white wire coming out of your stator right here, right? The green goes to ground. Your AC voltage regulator goes to ground, and then the white and the yellow from the regulator come up to this fuse. And then this fuse gives power to this wire and this wire. This is the headlight, this is the tail light. So that's this light. So one circuit only does tail light and headlight. It doesn't do brake light. The other circuit, this white and this green, come up to this DC rectifier, and then it charges the battery. The battery gives power to this tail light, the brake light circuit, and my phone charger, which works great now. So check out the brake lights. Oh yeah. Oh, the battery also gives power to the blinkers. So we got blinkers. Very cool. And I can turn the headlights off here with this switch. So I still have high and low beam and off. And then if I want to kill this light to be sneaky, I have a switch down here. I can reach under the seat and this disconnects the battery. So that also kills this wireless charger so my battery doesn't go bad because of the charger. This wireless charger also has a GoPro port down here to charge the GoPro. Yeah, it's a pretty good setup now. Got all the lightage and a lot more power. And just like old school, it kind of flickers. And it gets real bright when you rev it up. So I know that was really loud. I'm gonna try to talk you through it again with it off. But I can't show you the headlights with it off, obviously, because one of my circuits doesn't have a battery. Okay, so coming out of the stator, I got all the regular wires for the ignition. Those are down here. A couple of them are doubled back because this thing came with a really long pigtail. I'll probably trim those up eventually, but for now I just wired everything up to see if it would work. And that's how I usually do stuff. I wire it up, get it working, and then I go back through and clean it up later. It's only temporary unless it works, right? So just to go over it again, 2 circuits come out of here. There's 2 greens and 2 whites. You can tell which 2 go together because some of them have single connectors like this, and some of them have double connectors. So the white with the double goes with the green with the double. The green with the single goes with the white with the single. So yeah, figured that out. And then I took, both circuits are identical. It doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you have the right green and white and the right green and white. So this fuse right here is my headlight and taillight circuit. This is extremely simple. Here's the white that comes out of the stator. It goes to one leg of the fuse. Here's the green that comes out of the stator. It goes to a frame ground right here. And then also hooked up to that leg of the fuse, I have the AC voltage regulator that came with my heavy duty stator. And that just plugs in kind of in parallel with it. So it goes to ground here with a black wire, and the yellow wire comes up here with the white wire, which came out of the stator. Okay, then it goes to a 10 amp fuse, and on the output of the fuse, I have 2 wires. This goes to the headlight, this goes to the tail light. So that circuit is super simple. Okay, so there's no brake lights on that circuit, just the running light or the tail light and the headlight. The headlight does come into the switch panel, so I can have high and low beam and off. Headlight off comes in handy when you're sneaking or you're somewhere you shouldn't be. Okay, so got that circuit done. That's all that circuit does. The other circuit, which is this green and white, right? That comes out of the stator. It goes into this DC rectifier, okay? And that DC rectifier is connected to this little battery, little 12-volt battery. So the DC rectifier charges the battery. That's what all the other circuit does. And then from this battery, you can see there's this fuse that goes over to this switch. This is a battery cutoff switch in order to turn all my lights off and to keep the battery from getting drained down by the LEDs and by the phone charger. So that's all this does, battery cutoff switch. Then it comes to another 10 amp fuse, and then the power goes up to the front to charge this and power the blinkers. So that goes through this switch as well, but it's a different circuit. And then it also splits off. You can see the white wire that splits off there. It comes back here to power the brake light side of this bulb, to power the brake lights here, the running lights here, and the blinkers here. And the brake light switch is just a little pressure switch down here on the banjo bolt. So pretty simple setup. I kept the lighting circuit, the main lighting circuit, as simple as possible because that's the one that needs to work all the time. And now I have all of my bullshit, like my blinkers and stuff you don't really need, the phone charger, etc., on the other circuit. So I got to clean up these wires and stuff, but pretty happy with how it came out. I think it should be a lot more reliable like this. I also have a lot more wattage to play with. So this circuit is 100 watts and this circuit is 100 watts. And that is going to be excellent. Having them split means if I have an issue in one of the circuits, the other circuit will still work fine, and it's easier to diagnose things. But yeah, pretty cool. And then for grounds, there's a frame ground here, and I have one wire going from the frame up here near the coil to up here, and there's one common ground and that whole bundle of wires right there. But it looks like a mess. It's actually pretty simple. I just got to kind of organize everything. This thing doesn't have a single factory wire on it anymore because it's so old. I've had to rewire all the wiring that came with the bike, and then the dual sport kit it originally had rotted, so I've had to replace everything. So the wire colors look a little messy, but I've used these RC car connectors everywhere to make sure I can still unplug everything and take off the subframe, because that's how you get to the carburetor easily. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good setup now.